Welcome to Standard Voice News Channel. I am Samira Ibrahim. Here are your top stories for today. Governor Bello Matawalle pledges to hit hard on those aiding banditry in the state. INEC still consulting over a new date for by-elections. Senate Committee on Federal Character says no more foreign medical trips for president. On business, NARSO, NUPENG, NURTW demand compensation for the losses caused their members. And on the international scene, police arrest 63 protesters in Los Angeles and Manhattan. Now the news in details. Zamfara State Governor Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawalle Maradin has declared total face-off with any person or group found either sponsoring, aiding, abetting, or guiding bandits in the state. The governor made the declaration when he received the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Abubakar Baba Sadiq, who was on an official visit at the Government House, Gusau. A statement signed by the Governor's Director General of Media, Malan Yusuf Idris Gusau, has said the governor was visibly angered by the actions of some mischief makers in the state who have formed the habit of transmitting false information and making heinous acts of criminal elements, which his administration will no longer tolerate. For more details on the story, our correspondent Fauzia Ibrahim reports.
According to him, the state government, in collaboration with security agents, have effectively been using kinetics and non-kinetic approach in addressing security issues. But with that, the realization of the increasing criminal intent of those aiding the bandits, the government is left with no other option than to appropriately hit hard at such person in order to put a complete stop on their activities.
The issue of insecurity is not just for the security personnel, it's for all of us. Most of us are aware about these criminals. Some people are giving these criminals cover, and they are giving them shelter, which as from today is unacceptable. We have to fight these people. As we have mentioned earlier, we are using kinetic and non-kinetic method in order to have a lasting peace. But with some pocket of criminalities that are going on in the state, the government now is serious to make sure that whoever is involved in this activity must be dealt with squarely.
He revealed that with the provision of CH-4 unmanned aerial vehicle UAV by the federal government of the state government will employ more and new tactical approach in fighting against the bandit. Governor Matawalle said a mechanism has been put in place to monitor the activities of all suspected criminally minded people in the state and will not hesitate to take drastic action against them. He then commended President Muhammadu Buhari for approving the establishment of the UAV in the state, noting that the singular gesture will go a long way in facilitating the activities of the security operatives involved in the fight against armed banditry in Zamfara and its neighboring states. He assured state government logistic and other support to all officers and men involved in the fight against terrorism in the state. Fauzia Ibrahim reporting for SVTV.
Earlier, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, informed the governor that he was in the state to assess facilities at the 207 Quick Response Unit of the Nigerian Air Force, Gusau, with a view to commencing the deployment of additional air assets to Gusau as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari. He said 4 UAV will very soon be moved to the state in order to closely monitor all activities of bandits as well as precisely identify their camps and other hideouts. The Air Force boss informed the governor that this was the first time in the history of Nigerian Air Force to acquire such high technology CH-4 unmanned aerial vehicle. He explained that a total of 8 UAV were deployed to northern states, with 2 each at Gombe and Borno State, while the remaining 4 will be stationed in Zamfara, will cover states in the northeast.
Your Excellency, we're here to further assess the infrastructure in Gusau in view of the decision of His Excellency the President and indeed the Nigerian Air Force to deploy additional air assets to Gusau. We are expecting these air assets, unmanned combat aerial vehicles, that is called CH-4, which will be operating from Gusau here. Each of these unmanned combat aerial vehicles can remain airborne for up to 26 hours before landing. So once the aircraft gets airborne, it can remain airborne for 26 hours, and we're deploying 4 here. The whole idea is to keep a very close watch on what is happening in all our communities, not only in Zamfara, Katsina, part of Sokoto State, and Kebbi State as well, and indeed part of Kaduna State. The federal government is acquiring 8 of these unmanned combat aerial vehicles. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria and indeed Nigerian Air Force that we are acquiring these platforms. And the whole idea is to add value to what is being done to ensure that there is security in the northwest zone of Nigeria and indeed in other parts of the country.
He said the Air Force will soon construct the runway for the UAV in the state for deployment and additional air operational staff. During the event, Governor Bello Muhammad Matawale presented 13 rescued kidnapped victims comprising 5 males and 5 females and 3 infants to the Chief of Air Staff. The governor also used the occasion to dispel rumors that the kidnapped persons who hailed from Mutunji village of Moru local government area of the state were 53 when they were actually 13.
We have secured the release of about 12 people that were kidnapped. They are outside that we are going to receive them, and these people were released without giving any ransom. And if you recall, when we met in Abuja, I informed you about the people which we confirmed about 5 people were kidnapped, and some useless individuals, 54 people. So the 5 people is among the ones that were rescued. They are all outside here. So this is what we are all saying every day, that if there is a good job done by the security or the state government, nobody will hear about it. But once they have a negative story, they will spread it like fire. So that these people that were released, nobody will hear about them. So we are going to receive them so that to indicate that yes, you are here and one of the best day that you make this thing. Thank you.
Babu wanda aka baro daga cikin wanda aka tafi sai alhamdulillah muna godiya.
Those in attendance at the courtesy call were the Secretary to the State Government, Alhaji Balabel Lomaru, the Head of Service, Alhaji Kabiru Balarabi, Deputy Chief of Staff, Dr. Bashir Muhammad Maru, members of the State Executive Council and Royal Fathers, among others. On a sad note, report reaching Standard Voice Television says about 20 soldiers were killed and several others wounded on Thursday in Bungudu local government area of Zamfara State. The report says the bandits in their dozens ambushed the soldiers at Erosea village in Bungudu local government area at about 11 o'clock in the morning, but information on the incident could not reach appropriate authorities until at about 4 p.m. due to lack of communication network in the area. Our reporter visited Federal Medical Center Gusau, where the corpses of the dead soldiers were deposited, and said he met many of the wounded soldiers being treated in the hospital. We will bring you more details on the story as soon as they are available. The Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU's demand for 110 billion naira revitalization fund cannot be met, at least for now. This is the position of the federal government of Nigeria, which was delivered to ASU by the Minister of Labour, Dr. Chris Ngeye, during a meeting on Thursday between government and ASU representatives. The meeting had been convened to deliberate for resolution on ASU's demand from the federal government For more details on this story, Peter Phillips reports.
Amongst the demands were 110 billion naira revitalization fund, 30 billion naira earned allowance and review of the Integrated Personal Payroll System (IPPS). The government, however, stated that it is incapable of meeting these demands due to largely to dwindling resources coupled with the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. But as a remedy, the federal government had a fortnight ago released 30 billion naira as earned allowances for the varsity workers and 20 billion naira as revitalization to the universities, which the union found unsatisfactory. The meeting, which was expected to resolve the issues and pave the way for resumption of academic activities, however ended in deadlock. I am Peter Phillips, reporting for SVTV News.
In a related development, the ASUS chairman, University of Jos Chapter, Dr. Lazarus Meguru, has decried poor innovation for media professionals in the country, calling for an urgent review of their welfare package. The chairman stated this at a lecture on security organized by the Correspondence Chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ), Plateau State Council. He observed that a better welfare package for journalists will not only promote a better society but will lead to objective reportage and professionalism. He said, just like teachers, the welfare package for media professionals should urgently be reviewed upward so as to have practitioners standing for the truth. Dr. Maiguru called on both government and privately owned media to ensure an upward review of their workers' salaries. Earlier, Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State commended the chapel for organizing the event. Lalong, who was represented by his Commissioner of Information and Communication, Mr. Dan Majang, expressed delight over the robust relationship between his administration and the media in the state. Kebbi State Governor Senator Atiku Bagudu on Thursday commended members of the Nigerian Army for their giant strides in tackling security challenges across Nigeria. The governor also vowed to sustain his moral and financial support to all security agencies. A statement signed by the governor's special advisor on media, Yahaya Saraki, made this known. For more details on this story, over now to our correspondent, Hawa Mohammed.
The governor reiterated his commitments when the Senate Committee on Army, led by its chairman, Senator Ali Indumi, visited the state on oversight function. He said the effort is also to encourage the security agents to do their best in defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria. Governor Bagudu also extolled the relentless sacrifices of the Nigeria Armed Forces and other security agencies in tackling various forms of insecurities in the country, in spite of formidable odds. He enumerated these daunting security challenges to include banditry, kidnapping, insurgency, armed robbery, and other related criminalities. Speaking earlier, Chairman Senate Committee on Nigerian Army, Senator Ali Indumi, said the visit to Kebbi State was a threefold mission, which include paying a courtesy visit to the governor, who has been a strong pillar to the armed forces and other security agencies. In the same vein, Indumi said the visit was for the conduct of oversight functions on the various formation of the Nigerian Army, especially to assess the achievements, strengths, and weaknesses of the ongoing Operation Zaman Lafiya. He stated that the operation was being conducted by the Nigerian Army to check banditry in the northwest. The committee chairman also said the visit was a fact-finding mission to assess the effects of banditry in the area, as well as afford opportunity for the committee to interact with the governor on better approaches in handling the criminal elements. Senator Indumi lauded the sustained proactive measures being taken by the governor and expressed delight that Kebbi State is the least affected by security challenges in the country. Hawa Muhammad, reporting for SVTV News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said that it is still making consultations for a rescheduled date for various by-elections in 11 states of the nation. This was contained in a press release signed by the Commission's National Commissioner and Chairman, Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, and released to newsmen on Thursday. He noted that the by-elections, which were earlier fixed for October 31st, was postponed following the NSAS protests that engulfed parts of the country, including some of the states where the by-elections will hold. Mr. Okoye said the Commission's offices in such states suffered extensive damages and vandalization of its facilities. He said the commission has fixed meetings with political parties, civil society organizations, media, interagency consultative committee on election security, and resident electoral commissioners at different times between the 10th and 12th of November, after which a new date will be fixed. The House of Representatives Committee on Federal Road Safety Co. (FRST) says operatives of the co will begin to bear arms. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Akinfola Mayowa, said this during the co 2020 budget performance and 2021 budget defense on Thursday in Abuja. He said that the 1992 Act of FRSC allows the co to bear arms and that this was yet to be implemented, which is a disregard to the law. For more details on the story, Shehu Magaji reports.
According to him, eradicating accident on the nation's highway should be the collective responsibility of all Nigerians. The lawmaker said that the committee will meet with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and also write to President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure the implementation of the Act. In his submission, the FRSC Co-Marshal, Mr. Baboye Oyeyemi, said that members of the co are now faced with more deviant road users, some of whom, he said, have threatened to deal with them on the road. He solicited for help from the committee to curtail the excesses of road users by ensuring that FRSC personnel were allowed to bear arms. Mr. Oyeyemi said that the co now had 280 formations across the country, and it has established its presence in virtually all the local government areas across the country. The co-marshal said that the only place left were the riverine areas of Akwa Ibom, Ondo State, and the others. That has been the report. Shehu Magaji reporting for SBTV News.
Contractors handling federal road project must sit up, House of Representative members warned on Thursday. They described as worrisome the slow pace of work on some of the projects, despite the huge cash paid as mobilization fees. The lawmakers listed the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, for which 62.8 billion naira has been paid, the Abuja-Zaria 70 billion naira, and the second Niger Bridge 106 billion naira. For more details on the story, over now to our correspondent Musa Joy.
Julius Berger PLC, CCECC and the RCC are major handlers of government road projects. These issues were raised on Thursday when Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola defended his ministry's vote in the 2021 budget estimate before the Committee on Works in Abuja. He said the federal government needed about 6.26 trillion naira to complete about 711 road projects. The 6.26 trillion naira needed by the ministry represent 47% of the 13.08 trillion naira appropriation bill presented to the National Assembly for consideration. The ministry has 400 billion naira allocation. Mr. Fashola told the committee that one of the ministry's 227.964 billion naira in this year's budget, 152.150 billion naira had so far been released, leaving a balance of 75.814 billion naira. He said inadequate funding had slowed down the pace of works on the road. Musa Joy Onyoza reporting for SVTV News.
The Senate on Thursday urged the State House Clinic to be fully functional in order to discourage President Muhammadu Buhari from seeking foreign medical attention. The Senate Committee on Federal Character and Intergovernmental Affairs gave the charge when the Permanent Secretary of the State House, Tijani Umar, defended his 2021 budget estimates before the panel. Mr. Umar had presented a total budget proposal of 19.7 billion naira for the 2021 fiscal year, out of which 1.3 billion naira was earmarked for the State House Clinic. For more details on the story, over now to our correspondent, Sumaya Dosara.
The chairman of the committee, Senator Anju Malaa, in his reaction said the panel would approve the budget for the State House Clinic but the president and other top officials of the government should no longer be flown abroad for medical treatment. Speaking with the State House correspondent, Mr. Umar said the State House administration would put necessary arrangements in place to meet the medical need of the president and other top officials of the federation once the budget is approved. He appealed to the committee to assist them with the presidential wing of the State House clinic. The 1.3 billion is absolutely inadequate when you juxtapose the amount proposed, the labor, and the status of the principal that the project is going to serve. When compared with the worldwide standard, you see that it is not anything near what you need. The clinic is considered a legacy project for them because they want to leave everything down. It is not correct to say the State House clinic is in comatose. Sumaya Doso reporting for SVT.
The Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, on Thursday said the destruction he saw in Lagos during the NSAS protest moved him to tears. He praised his Lagos State counterpart, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for quickly stopping the protest as it degenerated into violence. Governor Nasir El-Rufai spoke in Lagos when he visited Sanwo-Olu to sympathize with him on the mayhem that occurred in the state during the protest against police brutality. Over now to Fauzia Ibrahim for more details.
The Kaduna State Governor said those who thrived by violence infiltrated the hitherto peaceful protests to achieve their agenda of causing large-scale destruction on public and private assets in the state. He said he spent time to see some of the pictures of the destruction done in public properties in Lagos and he nearly shed tears. Anyone who cares about development and progress will cry after seeing what has been done on public facilities and people's investments that provide jobs to youth. While expressing anger on police brutality may be right, but destroying public properties, which will have to be rebuilt by using money that is needed to invest in other public infrastructure under the guise of protest, is nothing but self-destruction. Fauzia Ibrahim, reporting for SVTV.
Let me quickly take you to our business desk with Musa Joy.
Welcome to Business Desk. Transporters and farmers under different groups have demanded compensation for the vehicles, produce, goods, and lives the NSAS protesters caused their members to lose last month. The group comprises of the National Association of Road Transport Owners (NATO), Petroleum Tanker Drivers, branch of the NUPENG, National Road Transport Workers, Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria, Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria, and Amana Farmers and Grain Suppliers Association of Nigeria. They made their demands in a communique at the end of a meeting at NATO Secretariat, Abuja. According to the communique, they unanimously made some resolutions. They include condemning the act of looting, arson, maiming, and killing by hooligans and called on the government at all levels to identify, arrest, and prosecute the perpetrators immediately. Government at all levels must live up to their constitutional responsibility of protecting the lives and property of all Nigerians wherever they reside in this country. The federal government should intensify its war on bandits, kidnappers, armed robbers, and insurgents so that people can move from one place to another without any fear. Members unanimously demanded that government at all levels should determine and pay compensation to all those whose vehicles, produce, goods, and other assets were vandalized, stolen, or destroyed to alleviate their suffering. The opening part of the communique said following the NSAS protests that turned out to be violent in many states, particularly in the southern part of the country, vehicles transporting passengers, petroleum products, cattle, agricultural products, and others were attacked, vandalized, and set ablaze. And that was all on Standard Voice Business Update. I am Musa Joy Onyoza.
And on the international scene, no fewer than 63 protesters taking part in the march against President Donald Trump have been arrested in Manhattan and Los Angeles as the nation waited a second night for an outcome of the presidential election. According to the New York Police Department spokesperson, 60 of the protesters were arrested around 8 p.m. as they made their way through streets in the Bronx West Village neighborhood in Manhattan. The 3 others were arrested in downtown Los Angeles, Passion Square Wednesday evening for an unlawful assembly. The protest, which was organized by the group Refuse Fascism, was held nationwide against Trump's response to the election results. Refuse Fascism alleged that Trump claimed victory, demanding that the counting be stopped immediately, with millions of ballots yet to be counted from the urban areas where Black and Latino voters are concentrated. Donald Trump was said to have on Wednesday asserted election frauds, pledges to mount a legal challenge to official state results, and made a premature claim of victory in a bitterly contested race that may take this to resolve. In remarks at the White House, Trump claimed that he won several states that were still counting ballots, including Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. On Wednesday, his main challenger and candidate of the Democratic Party in the U.S. election, Joe Biden, said he was confident that his party will secure the required electoral votes to win the race, while thanking Americans for their support. Biden currently has 264 electoral college votes, while President Donald Trump, his rival, has 214 electoral votes, with a minimum of 270 votes needed to win the election. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Governor Bello Matole pledges to hit hard on those aiding banditry in the state. INEC still consulting over a new date for by-elections. Senate Committee on Federal Character says no more foreign medical trips for president. On business, NARSO, NUPENG, and NURTW demand compensation for the losses caused their members. And on the international scene, police arrest 63 protesters in Los Angeles and Manhattan. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatunau, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.